All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on one of the most successful and honestly one of the most secretive companies out there, Valve Corporation. We're going to dig into the one absolutely radical idea that makes the whole thing tick. Oh yeah, you've definitely heard of their work. I mean, we're talking about the masterminds behind legendary games like Counter-Strike, Half-Life, and Left 4 Dead. These aren't just games, they're cultural touchstones that basically defined entire genres and sold millions upon millions of copies. Valve is, no question, a giant in the industry. But here's the crazy part. Get this. What if I told you that this absolute powerhouse, this creative giant, has no managers, no bosses at all? Sounds completely impossible, right? How could that even work?
So this isn't some hypothetical what-if scenario. Nope. This is literally Valve's reality, day in and day out. The company was intentionally built from the ground up to work without any kind of traditional hierarchy.
And look, this isn't some new, trendy thing you see with startups in Silicon Valley. Valve has been boss-free since way back in 1996 when it was founded. I mean, this principle is just baked right into the company's DNA. It has been for decades. Okay, so the big question on everyone's mind has to be how? I mean, seriously, how does a company with more than 300 super talented employees even function, let alone completely dominate an industry when there's nobody telling people what to do? Let's break it down. This is where things get really wild and completely different from a normal company. You know, in most jobs, a manager gives you tasks, you've got a formal job title, and you're always trying to climb that corporate ladder. But at Valve, the employees themselves decide what projects they want to work on. There are no job titles, and if a project needs a leader, someone just steps up and takes charge for a while. So this whole system, they call it the Valve Way, and it runs on an absolutely insane amount of trust and freedom. Just think about it for a second. Not only are you choosing your own work, but your pay, your raises and bonuses isn't decided by some manager in a corner office. Nope, it's decided by the people working right there beside you, your peers. Okay, but here's where the plot thickens even more. You're probably sitting there thinking, wait a minute, a boss-free company? There's gotta be someone at the very top, right? And, well, you're right. There is a CEO, which I know sounds like a total contradiction to everything we've just said. That CEO is, of course, the co-founder, Gabe Newell. But as you can probably guess by now, he doesn't act like any other CEO on the planet. His role is just fundamentally different. And it all comes down to one core belief he has. See, Gabe Newell believes his job isn't to tell people what to do, it's to make it possible for them to do great things. His whole approach is built on this one really simple but really powerful idea. Hire the absolute best people you can find and then just get out of their way. And this really gets to the heart of the strategy here. Newell actively avoids being what he calls an information bottleneck. Think about it. In a normal company, every big decision has to go up the chain to the CEO, and that just slows everything to a crawl. Newell's solution? Just give that decision-making power to the employees doing the work. So we've laid out how this whole thing is supposed to work in theory, but that brings us to the million-dollar question, or in this case, the billion-dollar question. After all this time, is this crazy experiment actually working?
Yeah, this is the real bottom line, isn't it? It's a super fascinating idea, but do the results actually back it up? Is this whole flat structure thing just a weird little quirk, or is it a real viable path to success?
First off, let's just remember the scale we're talking about here. This isn't some tiny 5-person team in a garage. We're talking about over 300 people. And trying to run a company that size with no formal bosses, well, that's a massive, massive challenge. And the result? It's pretty undeniable. The experiment isn't just working, it's working incredibly well. Valve's is ridiculously profitable. It's a financial giant in the gaming world, and it doesn't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. It turns out a little bit of anarchy can be really, really good for business. So what are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, for one, Valve's story proves that giving your employees deep trust and a ton of freedom can be an unbelievable recipe for success. It shows that a flat structure isn't just a fantasy. It can be wildly profitable. But I think the most important thing is that it completely challenges that default assumption we all have that a rigid top-down hierarchy is the only way to run a successful company. And that really leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought to chew on. Valve made a totally different choice, and it forces us to ask a really powerful question about pretty much every other company out there. Is that corporate ladder,
the one we all just accept as normal, actually necessary for success? Or is it just a choice? A choice we've all gotten a little too comfortable with to even question?